And now it's time for Safeguard Your Money with Michael Andersen, RIA.
Hello, everyone. This is Michael Andersen. I'm president and founder of an investment advisory firm located right here in Easton. I also have locations in Annapolis and Cambridge. This radio program is called Safeguarding Your Money, and I want to encourage you to stay with me for the next 30 minutes because we're going to be covering 3 critical topics for every individual who is either approaching retirement or is already retired. You need to hear this information. Before we get started, though, I want to give you some important information about some upcoming classroom-based financial courses that I offer. The first class is a multi-session program called Retirement Planning Today. It's held at area universities this fall and also in the winter. Retirement Planning Today is best for folks who are going to retire in the next 10 years. Now, my next class is called Take Control of Your Retirement and is designed to help folks who are about to retire or who have recently retired navigate the possibility of tax increases, Social Security and Medicare cutbacks, higher rates of inflation, and volatility. Our third class is a Social Security and Retirement Income Planning program and is designed for folks age 62 to 70. And our final class, which starts up in the new year, is about a cutting-edge way to generate unreportable, tax-free income in retirement. That program is best for folks who are under the age of 70 or who own a small business. Details about all of these programs is available on my website, which is www.safeguardmoney.com, or by calling my office at 410-690-4894. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our show today. Perhaps you've heard my show before and the message in that show. The most important question to ask your broker or advisor, the 3 questions every investor needs to ask themselves before they invest in anything. And finally, the one question you should be asking about your portfolio. Now, in case you missed that earlier program, you can listen to it on our website, which again is safeguardmoney.com. Well, today we're going to cover 3 new, very important topics. First, what is the greatest risk most retirees are taking that they don't even realize they're taking? Second, longevity risk, and why our first topic is so critical when dealing with longevity risk. And finally, maximizing your Social Security benefits. There are strategies out there that few people are aware of that can help you receive an extra $100,000 or more in benefits over your lifetime if you're a married couple, divorced, or widowed individual. These are very powerful strategies to help you maximize your own benefits. So stay with me over the next half hour as we discuss these topics. Maybe grab something to drink, get a notepad, and something to write with, and in 30 minutes from now, you will be better prepared for a more financially secure future. So let's start with our first topic. One of the greatest risks those who are retired and taking income from their portfolios, and chances are if this is you, you may not even be aware that you're taking on this risk. You see, the reality of today's retiree is most of them need income from their savings and investments. Now, those who retired 20 years ago were generally in a different position. Those folks had Social Security, just like today's retirees. They had savings, again, just like today's retirees, but the majority of those retirees had company pensions, something most of today's retirees don't have. In many cases, their pensions meant they didn't need to draw against their savings. In fact, most of that age group that I have as clients are saving money in retirement. Their pension and Social Security income is so strong they aren't spending it all, and they can even manage to continue to save. Today's retirees, again in most cases, don't have the luxury of a pension and Social Security. Usually it's one or the other. So that means today's retirees are going to rely on their own personal savings to supplement their retirement lifestyle. Or maybe not supplement their lifestyle, simply maybe just try to make ends meet. Now, what that does is it puts tremendous pressure on their savings, and the potential to run out of money in retirement is much higher than the retirees of 20 years ago. So what is the risk I'm referring to that people aren't aware of? It's called sequence risk. In my opinion, most brokers or advisors aren't discussing this with their clients because the concept is contrary to their type of planning. And in fact, their type of planning could actually increase the risk. What exactly is sequence risk? Basically, it's the order in which returns hit your portfolio. Let me explain. If in the first years of your retirement, you encounter a strong market and your portfolio realizes big gains, it's very likely, if you're following a traditional withdrawal schedule of 4%, your savings could easily last your lifetime, and you might even leave a nice nest egg when you die to your family. However, if just the opposite occurs, and you realize losses in the first years of retirement, your chances of running out of money have increased dramatically. Let me give you two examples. The first example, let's say we have two retirees who retire 3 years apart. One of them on January 1st, 1996, and the other on January 1st, 1999. Let's assume they both have $1 million, and in the first year, they're going to each withdraw 4% of their balance, or $40,000 to live on. And they'll both increase this amount by 3% for inflation every year. Let's assume our retirees follow the advice of our television and radio finance people and invest their savings in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Our first retiree benefits from the strong bull market from 1996 through 1999. And even though the S&P 500 lost well over 40% from 2000 to 2002 and approximately 57% from October of 2007 through March of 2009, as of January 2012, our first retiree had 11% more than when he retired in 1996, and they were withdrawing over $60,000 per year after adjusting for inflation. They're in great shape. Now, let's look at our second retiree who invested identically to the first, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, withdrawing the same amount with the same inflation adjustment. But we're going to see a down market early in their retirement and the devastating effect it can have. See, this retiree had one positive year, 1999, and then 3 negative years, 2000, 2001, and 2002, then 4 very good years in which the S&P 500 earned great returns, but then the next crisis hit. And as of January 2012, our second retiree only has $318,000 of their $1 million left, and their withdrawal is nearly $60,000 per year adjusted for inflation. Basically, short of a miracle at this point, they're on a track that will in all likelihood run out of money. So what went so wrong for the second guy? They were following a financial planning fundamental, the 4% rule, meaning in the first year of retirement, they only withdrew 4% of their savings. So they weren't overly aggressive in their spending. It was simply good timing and bad timing. Or better put, it was blind luck. It wasn't that one was a skillful investor and the other a terrible investor. It was simply when they retired and the stock market's performance the first years of retirement. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called sequence risk and can be the biggest financial gamble you'll ever take, and most people aren't even aware of it. Here's another hypothetical example. 2 retirees, both with $1 million, both choose to withdraw 5% in the first year of retirement and adjust that every year for inflation. Now, our first retiree loses 10% in year 1, loses another 5% in year 2, breaks even in year 3, and then earns 7.5% in years 4 going forward. Our second retiree does just the opposite. He does the inverse. The second guy earns 7.5% per year every year for 27 years. He breaks even in year 28, loses 5% in year 29, and loses 10% in year 30. It's inverse returns. Well, how does the scenario turn out? Retiree number 1 is broke in year 22. while retiree number 2 still has over $800,000 left 30 years later. Here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. Your portfolio's performance in the first 3 to 5 years of your retirement could easily determine your lifestyle for the rest of your lifetime. Take a look at the situation our country is in right now and ask yourself, is this a risk you're comfortable taking? We have 2 outstanding articles we'd like to make available to you that's based on this subject. Just call our office at 410-690-4894 and ask for the articles on sequence risk. We'll be happy to provide them to you and explain in more detail how sequence risk could affect you. I'd also like to invite you to accept my offer for a free portfolio review and analysis. We'll look for several things you need to be aware of. First, how much risk are you really taking? Second, let's look for hidden fees that could be reducing your returns. And third, let's analyze how your portfolio performed during the last crisis. If you suffered huge losses then, you don't have to do that again, and you may not be able to afford to. So call our office for a free 1-hour visit. There's no cost or obligation. By the way, folks, if you're just joining us, my name is Michael Andersen, and this is the Safeguarding Your Money show. If you missed the first part of my program, you can always find it on my website, which is www.safeguardmoney.com. We just finished talking about sequence of return risk. Now we'll move on to our second topic of the day. So let's talk about longevity risk. This goes hand in hand with sequence risk. I'll bet you didn't know that in the last generation, we've added 25% to the life expectancy of the average American male. In fact, the older you get, the better the numbers look for a long life. Now, someone who makes it to the age of 65 has a very good chance to make it to 75, and a more than 50% chance to make it to 85. In fact, if you have a married couple, both age 65, there's a more than 40% chance one of them will live well past the age of 90. You know, the big challenge used to be just making it to retirement. Most folks really didn't live that long. Now the challenge is to make it through retirement without exhausting our savings. Our prior example on sequence risk is a great example. You know, the average broker or financial planner is probably going to use a strategy known as asset allocation to diversify your investments in retirement. They'll then advise you to withdraw a certain percentage of your portfolio for income, as I just discussed a few minutes ago. That can go great or very wrong. The problem with this strategy is that it takes 100% of your savings, 100% of your life savings, to generate the income you need in retirement. This puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your portfolio, and basically, all of your savings is needed to get the income you need. Most retirees feel like they can't afford to spend any of their principal for a big purchase because it could negatively affect their income. Our approach is different. We use a strategy called income allocation rather than asset allocation. Our strategy allows us to figure the income someone needs in retirement and then determine the amount of their savings necessary to generate this income in a strategy that's guaranteed. What's the difference? Well, income allocation typically requires 30 to 60% of your portfolio to get the income needed in retirement. Well, this frees up 40 to 70% of the savings for you to do with as you please. I've found this to be a much more viable strategy for a financially secure retirement. Now, here's a key question about our income allocation strategy. Ask yourself if you'd rather rely on 100% of your savings for the income you need and leave yourself exposed to sequence risk, or would you rather learn about income allocation and significantly reduce, if not eliminate, sequence risk to your retirement lifestyle? feel free to call my office at 410-690-4894 if you'd like to learn more about ways to reduce the amount of your savings dedicated to income generation without possibly reducing the level of income you could receive. Now, if you're just joining us, again, my name is Michael Andersen, and this is the Safeguarding Your Money radio show. We're about almost two-thirds of the way through today, so if you want to listen to the first parts, please visit us at safeguardmoney.com, where you can find a YouTube link to today's program. Now today, finally, we need to talk about one more strategy that could play a huge role in the two subjects we just discussed and could actually help you live a more financially secure retirement. And this strategy is Social Security maximization planning. Now, I do offer a class on Social Security and retirement income planning, and this is a very popular topic. In fact, our last Social Security workshop in Easton had nearly 100 people in attendance. So if you're interested in participating in the next workshop on Social Security, check out our website for the class dates. Okay, so Social Security is a federal program that essentially taxes you while you work, and then once you reach retirement, you can receive what amounts to be a government pension. The amount you receive, though, is a calculation based on your income over many years and the age at which you choose to start benefits. Now, as most people know, Social Security benefits can typically be started at the age of 62. That's your earliest date in most cases. Now, if you wait to collect benefits until your so-called full retirement age, which is the ages of 65 to 67, depending on your year of birth, you're eligible to collect your full benefit. But if you choose not to take Social Security then, you can delay benefits for as long as you like. One important point to understand about these ages is how time affects benefits. For example, if you take Social Security at age 62, then you'll receive about 1/3 less than you'd otherwise receive if you waited until your full retirement age. Or, if you choose to not take benefits at your full retirement age and instead wait, your benefit increases by a guaranteed 8% per year until you reach age 70. Ladies and gentlemen, many people find a government guarantee of 8% pretty attractive, and they choose to wait and collect more later on. Honestly, some of the really good guaranteed programs that I have available in my office only manage to guarantee 7% growth for retirement income. I've got nothing today that guarantees 8%. So waiting really isn't a bad deal. Now, when it comes to Social Security, though, many of us have a secret weapon of sorts to help us maximize our benefit. And the name of that weapon is our spouse. You see, if you're married, one of the niftiest Social Security benefit maximization strategies is, in my opinion, something called claim and suspend. I talk about claim and suspend in significant detail at my class on Social Security. Again, if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to check our website, safeguardmoney.com, for dates and locations of the next class. Anyway, claim and suspend can be pretty powerful. I want to show this to you by going through an example. So, let's say we have a married couple named John and Sue. Both are 66 today and both work, and plan to continue to work for several years. As you may know, once you reach your full retirement age, your Social Security is not reduced by wages, like it is when you start taking it earlier. So this couple decides they want to collect something while working, but they also want to maximize their benefit later on when they do retire. Here's what they could do. So John, the husband, he applies for Social Security benefits, but immediately suspends them, and he doesn't collect anything. He has now made himself active in the system, which lets Sue claim her spousal benefit, which is 50% of his benefit. Now, Sue hasn't claimed her own benefit. It hasn't been triggered, so it still grows along with John's at that 8% guaranteed rate. Now, Sue can spend that money that she's now collecting She can put it in the bank, she can invest it, she can give it to charity, whatever. It's her choice. Now remember, in my example here, these folks aren't working, so they don't need that spousal benefit. So they say, you know what? We're going to save the money. Now, if it were, say, hypothetically, $1,000 a month, then after 5 years, that would total $60,000, and that's without a penny of growth. So here's a question for you. What could you do with an extra $60,000? You see, ladies and gentlemen, this pretty simple strategy called claim and suspend has just created $60,000 in our example. Now, did you know there are more than a dozen strategies like this to help you maximize benefits? Now, many people these days say you should just go ahead and apply for Social Security online when you're ready. But if you ask me, it's a far better bet to spend some time with the excellent and knowledgeable folks in your local Social Security office to find the most optimal way to take your benefit. After all, you've earned it. Now, while we're on the topic of Social Security, I'd like to share with you some additional information about the potential taxation of benefits. You see, for some folks with lower incomes, Social Security is a tax-free benefit. But for other people, typically those with other sources of income, including retirement account withdrawals and pensions, Social Security can be partly or even mostly taxable. It's all about how and when you receive income. Now, I know that might be a funny thing for me to say. I mean, in retirement, you may not have complete control when you receive income if you have a pension. But if you just have an IRA or 401k or 403b or something like that, then you have a fantastic tool that lets you choose when you want to create taxable income. Remember, IRA, 401k, and so forth, those types of withdrawals are taxable when you withdraw them. But until you withdraw them, they remain tax deferred. Now, for folks who are getting close to retirement, I have a potentially powerful program that can help you take tax-deferred IRAs and even 401k type plans and turn them into tax-free income. That's income that isn't reportable, and so it doesn't create the taxable income that triggers Social Security benefit taxation. Wouldn't it be great if you could go from having a taxable Social Security to a tax-free Social Security? This program I have is amazing, and the best part is that I can show you a way to not just make your IRA into a tax-free income generation tool, but how you can do so in a tax-neutral way. I'm really excited about it, and I invite you to join me at the workshop that explains it all. I mean, who wouldn't want to be tax-free? And it's doubly important today because if you retire with nothing but taxable income, then if the government raises tax rates, what are you willing to go without? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to pay the government? See, we don't have a choice. If tax rates go up, we've got to give something up in order to pay the government. Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to give up anything and could live a tax-free life? Ladies and gentlemen, we're about out of time today. I want to thank you for tuning into our program. My name again is Michael Andersen, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you. If you need to reach me during the week, you can do so by calling my office at 410-690-4894 or visit me online at safeguardmoney.com. As I mentioned earlier, my investment and insurance practice is based in Easton, with convenient meeting locations also in Cambridge and in Annapolis. If you feel that I can help put you in a better financial position, please give me a call. Now, as disclosure, past performance does not indicate or guarantee a future result. Investing carries risk, including the possible risk of principal loss. Investments are not bank guaranteed and not FDIC insured. S&P 500 is a trademark of the McGraw-Hill Company. Please carefully consider the risks, fees, and objectives of any investment before you invest your money. Our Form ADV Part 1 is available online at www.sec.gov. safeguardyourmoney.gov, and our ADV Form Part 2 is available upon written request. Michael Andersen, Registered Investment Advisor, is a Maryland corporation. Our CRD number is 146154. You can find us online at www.safeguardmoney.com. Thank you very much, and good luck.
You've been listening to Safeguard Your Money with Michael Andersen, RIA.